there. Welcome to Platypus Knitting. My name is Bobby Olin and I am here to talk about knitting, my thoughts on knitting and my experiences in knitting, and hopefully eventually also within other fiber arts. Slip of the tongue there. Before I dive into my first segment, which is Craft for Thought, I just have to introduce who you would have seen in the title card, Pearl. So this is Pearl the platypus, who is my mascot and may be popping in and out of the video to say hello. So hello, Pearl. Yes, so diving straight into Craft for Thought, I'm filming this episode just a few days after my birthday, for me, it feels like an appropriate place to sort of reflect back on the past year and just think about, chat about how my crafting life has kind of gone or not gone over the past year. Which may be a bit of a strange topic for you guys since you don't really know me yet. This is only the second episode of Platypus Knitting, and here I am talking about the last 12 months, which you unfortunately, you know nothing about at the moment. So hopefully next year's birthday reflection, if I get to a whole year of doing this, will be a lot more interesting and make a lot more sense to you. So I'll just dive in. The first thing that I just want to say is everyone knows what a crazy, unexpected, scary, confusing, the world turned upside down over the last year. So it kind of needs no introduction, and I just have to say that I feel just so incredibly lucky about my personal situation. So many people out there have been doing it tough and been doing it extra tough, and have lost loved ones or gotten really sick, or loved ones gotten really sick, and just all sorts of horrible, difficult things happening. And then, all the other ways that affects people's lives and how this whole situation has affected people's lives. And I just feel so incredibly lucky because I've been really healthy. My family, my partner and his family have all been really healthy. No major scares. And I mean, we've also all been able to, work from home really easily, which not everyone has been able to do. So that's been something really easy. I keep using that word, but it really has been. I feel so incredibly lucky that I'm in a workplace that has allowed us to work from home, and there were no difficulties in sort of setting that up. Again, I'm extremely lucky because I already have this craft room that I'm filming this vlog in, and I was easily able to convert the desk, which I'd kind of been using for sewing, just into a work desk. So that's been really easy for me. The only difficult thing there that I have to say, and I mean, I guess difficult isn't really the right word. This is all just in the context of looking at it as a knitter. But because I was working in my craft room, I did find that for quite a few months, I just wasn't doing much in terms of crafting and knitting and everything, because I guess I've been in this room all day working, so it had a different association for me, and I didn't necessarily want to keep spending more time in here. And maybe I probably just wasn't feeling all that inspired to be creative. There were a lot of memes and a lot of people saying over the past year that for knitters, this is our moment. We've trained for this, just staying at home all the time with not all that much to do since we couldn't get out. Melbourne was in lockdown for, I can't even remember how long that was now, 3 months, 4 months. It's all kind of a blur, but again, really lucky that I myself had the sort of personality and temperament to that really suited being in a lockdown. I'm not a very outgoing and social person. I mean, of course, there were times when I missed it and I wish I could be, seeing my family and seeing my friends. But for the most part, I'm really happy just being at home, just hanging out with my partner, sitting on the couch. I mean, I barely even watch any television, but, just knitting, browsing the internet. I like being at home. And I mean, I don't know if this whole situation over the past year has made me even more of a homebody than I already was, or if it's just made me really sort of like really realize it and embrace that that's who I am. I keep joking that it's turned me into a hermit, and I'm very happy to be a hermit because it means I can just stay home and knit. But of course, that's not all that there is in the world. I guess one other thing that has come out of the past 12 months is, well, it's not a thing that's come out of it, it's just something that I've been thinking about, I guess, and it's just friendships being more about quality and not quantity. I mean, I've never been one to have dozens of friends or, be that super popular person, but there have been times in my life where I have wanted to be. So I'm the middle child of 3 sisters, and my older sister and my younger sister, they were both very much, the popular girls at school. They always had a lot of friends and were always going out. So I guess being the only one in the household that wasn't like that, I don't know how to say it. It's not like I was jealous exactly, that just every now and then in my life I would feel like, should I have more than what I've got? But really, no, like, I love my friends, I don't really need that big crowd or that big group of people. It's nice just having, the handful that I can, rely on or hang out with, and it's just easy. So that's just something else that I've been thinking about recently with my hermit life, and just how I am happy being at home and I don't feel the need to go out a lot. And it's kind of nice that there isn't that pressure from having lots of friends who are always wanting to do things. So I've definitely found the right people in my life to connect with. Like I said, I felt like there was a big chunk of time over the past 12 months where I didn't feel like I was crafting a lot. I had also, I had an Etsy store going, but like I was never really all that motivated to do much with it, but that was always in the back of my mind. And I think sometimes when I was crafting, I was feeling like guilty or something, like I should be working on this store that I supposedly want to have running, and trying to make some money off my knitting. But like I don't like making products to sell, so that was a big part of why I guess it never really went anywhere. I mean, I don't think I had amazing things on there. I think I had nice things, but yeah, I always felt like I should be giving that more time. So sometimes, when I did just feel like sitting around and knitting, like I felt like I shouldn't be doing that maybe, and that I should be doing other things just to do with the Etsy store and try to put that out there. But I guess part of this vlog was, or starting this vlog was the realization that that wasn't what I wanted to be doing. And I really just I love knitting. I really love knitting. So that Etsy store, I had called it Knit, Stitch, Bind, which I guess could be all about knitting. You know, you knit the stitches and then you bind them off. But the name actually came about because, like I mentioned in the first episode, the three main crafts that I've done throughout my whole life have been cross stitch, bookbinding, and of course knitting. So Knit, Stitch, Bind was meant to be about, was meant to present all of those things, but because I like knitting so much, I never really had anything in the other two sections. So that's that for Knit, Stitch, Bind, and I am now Platypus knitting. I didn't really plan this segment out. I thought I'd have more to talk about and reflect on, but yeah, so what can I say? I guess just within the last maybe 5 months, so the second half of the past year, I guess you'd say, I really did start getting back into knitting, which I'm obviously really happy about. But part of that was because I'd never really watched knitting vlogs or followed any knitting channels or anything like that. Like, I'd obviously watch videos on tutorials and things when I, wanted to refresh myself on a technique or learn something new. But vlogs just never interested me. When I was at uni, I knew a couple of people who were doing vlogs, and they were just not my kind of people. And I guess I kind of just thought that I associated vlogs with that kind of personality type, and it wasn't me, and it wasn't something that I was interested in. But then randomly, it was actually because I was looking up a technique. I was looking up lever knitting, which I had tried to learn once before, but really struggled with it, and there were really not a lot of videos out there at the time. So I thought I'd give it another go because I've got a few issues with my arm. Yeah, I've just got a few issues with my arm just to do with ergonomics. So tennis elbow, which I think is the inside one, golfer's elbow, which I think is the outside one, carpal tunnel, repetitive strain, which I actually first got when I was working as a bookbinder. So I was looking up lever knitting again to see if that method was going to be better for me. And the first video I found, I just really connected with it, and I guess that's never really happened with me before, watching other knitting videos and other knitting tutorials. So that video on lever knitting was by Felicia Lowe of Sweet Georgia, and I was just so drawn to her in watching that video that I just started watching her vlog from the very, very start. So her vlog is Taking Back Friday, and yeah, I was just hooked. So I watched that from start to finish, and then, not finish, I guess it's still going, but just up to date. And then my aunt was telling me about another one that she watches, which is Fruity Knitting, which I have now been watching since I caught up with Sweet Georgia, and there was nothing else to watch there. I started watching Fruity Knitting. Fruity Knitting is a bit of a hard one to talk about at the moment because I love it, and they definitely inspired me to start this. Like, they made me feel like it was possible to do, and I guess I connected with them as well because they're Aussie. But of course, if you follow Fruity Knitting yourself, then you will know that they there was just some devastatingly sad news this past week. Just it's I mean, I haven't even caught up on the episodes. I'm still a couple of years behind on that because I always have to watch everything from start to finish, but I highly recommend checking that one out. But I just don't know what they're gonna do with this news, with this thing that just happened in this past week. I don't know if they're gonna keep going. I hope that they do, but it's just not going to be the same. But anyway, I don't want to talk too much about all of that because I'll get really sad. But they, like I said, they made me feel like I could do this too. I could just, sit here on my couch and share my knitting with anyone who is interested in seeing it. But anyway, moving on, I started this vlog and here we are. So I guess that's kind of really all that I've got to say for Craft for Thought. It was a bit of a messy year in terms of crafting, not much, and then I guess that's the point that I was trying to make, was that finding these knitting vlogs really motivated me to pick up the needles again and really start knitting. And since I've been watching knitting vlogs, I've started and finished a lot more than I had for the first 6 months or the first few months of the year. So on a slightly related topic, Ravelry does the thing at the start of the year where you can join their challenge, which is basically just stating how many projects you want to finish in that year. For the previous couple of years, I'd put 6 projects, and I never even reached that tiny little goal. So again, at the start of this year, I was like, let's just do the usual 6. And I've already hit that. It's only April. So a lot of the credit for that goes towards vlogs like Sweet Georgia and Fruity Knitting. So thank you for that. So that brings me to my next segment, which is Stat Chat. So all within the 12 months leading up to my birthday, so not including the few days since, I started 5 new knitting projects, and I picked up, or I continued working on 4 WIPs, 4 works in progress. So within that 12-month period as well, I also finished 6 different knitting projects. And if I've got the math and the counting all correct, that means I have 3 unfinished objects, 3 UFOs, I really like that knitting term, at the end of the year, which is my birthday year. So I will continue, I guess, this birthday theme on through the rest of my segments. So the next one is eye candy. So I am an April baby, and so I thought it was pretty appropriate to showcase or to discuss in eye candy another April baby. And this is something I only realized last year from following her on Instagram, but Joji Locatelli is also an April baby. Happy birthday, Joji! I was really super excited to discover that we share a birthday month. I mean, it doesn't mean anything, obviously, but it's still kind of nice to even share like one tiny obscure thing with such an amazing knitwear designer. So Joji is an Argentinian struggling with words, knitwear designer. She just has such beautiful designs, and even the simpler garments, they always have these little tiny details or beautiful shaping. So last year, when I saw that it was his birthday, she had actually offered a discount for her patterns around the time of her birthday. So I took advantage of that, and I did buy a pattern then, but I didn't do anything with it. So we are meant to be talking eye candy, so I thought I would just talk about 3 of his patterns that are in my favorites on Ravelry. The first is called Madewell, and it's a cardigan. It's just a pretty simple plain one, but what I really, really love about it is that it's got, and I should put a photo up here for you to see, but it's got elbow patches, and I've always loved that, you know, grandpa style look with the elbow patches, or I don't know, is that grandpa style or like a professor style? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It is a feature that I've always kind of liked in fashion, and I have seen other knitwear designs with it, but like look how short my arms are. I mean, I'm just a short person, but like sleeves are always too long for me. Like this one is only turned back the tiniest bit, but I'm always having to like fold back or push up sleeves. So I always just look at those patterns and just think, I can't be bothered doing the math to figure it out so that the elbow is in the right spot. But the great thing about his Madewell is that the patches are sort of created separately and then sewn on after. And in the project description, she says something about the patches have like a woven look, so it actually looks like you're darning a hole, even though that's not what you're doing. So so I really like that you can just apply the patches on wherever they're the most appropriate. So that's in my favorites, and it's definitely one that I'd like to knit in the future. The other one that I want to talk about is the Penelope cardigan. As soon as I saw that one, I just fell in love. And I guess it sounds like I'm a bit of a cardigan person. I only own one. But anyway, so that one is a really long cardigan, and for the most part, like the top of the cardigan, the sleeves and everything are quite simple, and it's got this like long ribbing for the what do you call it when there's no buttons? You wouldn't call it a button band. I really don't know my terminology with cardigans. I've never made one. But anyway, with the band, there's like a lovely ribbing, but then the whole bottom of the cardigan is this gorgeous giant like cable design, and it just looks like so much fun to wear and to make. Fell in love with that one as soon as I saw it. And the last one that I will just touch on is called Arbor Vitae, and that one was actually part of Pom Pom Quarterly's 27th issue. I think that was winter 2018. And again, it's another one that's just simple, but then just has this little detail on it that just makes it stand out and just makes it so pretty and beautiful and fun. And it's just there's like a line of tassels along here. It's just gorgeous, and I'm really not a big fan of pink. I don't wear pink, but this one, I think in the magazine, it's in like a really sort of dusty dark pink color, and that's really gorgeous. So if I ever make it, gosh, I don't know if I'll want to copy the colorway that they've used, because it just looks so beautiful on the model, but I just know it's not something that I wear, so it's something that I'll have to think about. But anyway, so that is eye candy, just spotlighting my top 3 Joji Locatelli designs. So continuing on with this rather selfishly birthday themed theme. So now on to handy dandy. So like I said last April, I bought one of Joji's patterns, and that one is called Opposite Pole. So it's a cardigan, and I think I really like cables. Yeah, so this one's another one that's got some big cables in it. So yeah, it's all over cables. So there's like a back piece that you knit first that has some cables on it, and then you make like the circular piece that kind of goes around and attaches to that back piece, and then there's holes on the side where the sleeves go. And I really love, so because it's that circular piece, when you're wearing it, it does that shawl kind of color, and I really love that the cables there are reversible. I've never done reversible cables. I mean, I haven't really done that many cables in my knitting life yet, but yeah, definitely haven't done reversible ones, so really looking forward to that. But the thing is, in continuing with my plan to knit from my stash this year, I am knitting it in this, I think it's 100% merino wool from Bendigo Wool and Mills. It's their luxury, but I've only got 3 balls of this, and I don't think that's going to be enough. So it may just have to be that I'm knitting it more like a vest. So I'll hopefully have enough at least to do the back piece and then the circular piece. And if I don't have enough to do sleeves, then, I mean, the sleeves are plain. So all of the beautiful detail that I fell in love with, is in the shawl and the color, and the back of it. So I'm not going to be too sad if I don't get to do sleeves. If I have enough yarn, I may even, just pick up and work down until I run out of yarn, and even if it's short sleeves, like that could be quite nice too. So I guess we'll just have to see about that. Is there anything else that I wanted to say about that? So for this particular pattern, Joji gave 3 different gauge measurements, but she did say that if you wanted, you could only aim to just get the first one. So the first gauge is for garter stitch, and that is only a stitch gauge. So I actually got that, or really close to that, in the recommended needle size, which is 6mm needles. So that is meant to be 14 stitches per 10 centimeters, and I got 13.5. But when I did a swatch in the next needle size down, 5.5 millimeters, I got, what was it? Something like, it can't have been 16 stitches. But yeah, it wasn't as close to 14 as the 13.5 stitches that I got when I was doing it on the 6mm, and that is blocked. So I got that one correct. The second gauge that she gave was for stockinette stitch, and I didn't actually knit a gauge swatch for this, but only because I had used this yarn to make another garment that was mostly in, well, pretty much all in stockinette stitch and reverse stockinette. So I kind of just pulled that out and measured that, and that one did match the gauge for that second gauge recommendation from Joji. So that was meant to be 16 stitches and 26 rows. But her recommended needle size was 5.5 millimeter, and I actually got that on 5 millimeters. So these are 5 millimeter needles. So my stitch gauge is right. My row gauge is just a tiny bit off. My row gauge is 24 rows instead of 26. So I may just have to do just a tiny bit of like tweaking, checking the calculations here and there, but I shouldn't really need too much. But anyway, so this is me starting the back piece in this gorgeous blue color. And that's it there. The other exciting thing about this piece for me is that it's the first time that I am doing cables without a cable needle. I'm pretty slow at it, but it's not quite as scary and as difficult as I had thought it would be. So I'm pretty excited that I am able to do that. So again, that is the Opposite Pole by Joji Locatelli. That's going to be the back piece. I'm something like just over halfway. That is just a little rectangle, and then I get to do the fun circular bit. So yes, knitting that in Bendigo Woolen Mills Luxury. I think this colorway is steel, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, so that's that. So the very last segment for my vlog is Heartful of Craft, where I just share something that I am grateful for, and hopefully, relate it back to knitting, since that is what this vlog is about. So like I keep mentioning over and over again, it was my birthday a few days ago. We did go out to the countryside, so we stayed in a lovely little place quite close to Bright, and we actually did pop into Bright a couple of times to to eat and to get food and just to wander around. And it's just so beautiful over there. It's just gorgeous. You're so close to the mountains that you've just got a gorgeous view everywhere you turn. And I'm such an autumn baby. I mean, literally, my birthday is in autumn, and I just love it. I love the trees, turning color, and there were, quite a few trees that had gone red and yellow, and it was just so beautiful just driving through. There was still a lot of green around, a lot of brown too, and then just every now and then you'd get like rows of gorgeous red trees and the mountains in the background. And the place that we were staying at, they had cows quite close to the house, and my partner kept just exclaiming and looking at them in awe because they were just huge. They were just massive. So that was kind of fun. I could totally live there. Again, this is feeding back into the whole thing of me saying that I think I could be a hermit, because I keep saying, I could totally live like somewhere more remote, somewhere in regional Victoria. And he's just like, well, I mean, he is open to it too, actually, I should say. But I guess the big concern a lot of people have is that won't you miss living in a city, which is where we live now, and having access to everything that you have access to when you're living in suburbia. But I just don't necessarily feel like I need all of that. I don't go out a lot. We don't eat out a lot. It'd just be sort of the proximity to family and friends that are around here. But I mean, it doesn't really bother me. My best friend lives in Sydney, so I mean, if I can maintain that friendship, I don't see the problem with maintaining other friendships when there's not as much different distance between us. So yeah, I feel like, I mean, I say I could live there, but I do have to say, I had a look and there weren't any local yarn stores. So, yeah, nah. I want a yarn store. My partner did joke that I should just start my own, but I doubt he seriously meant that we should go and live there. Anyway, it was really gorgeous. The one thing that I have to say that is related to knitting is for this opposite pole cardigan, I kind of just decided to do it sort of last minute-ish before we went away. So I did my swatches and I blocked them, and I was measuring them when they were still a bit damp the night before we went. Also, I could pack some knitting for myself. I guess that's the other thing I should say as well. This is going to be for me. Yay! I don't do a lot of knitting for myself, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, so I did all the swatching, but then when I pulled out the needles and yarn, when we got there, I realized that I'd actually only packed one set of needles, the 6mm needles, and the first bit that you knit is in the smaller needles, which I didn't bring. So I couldn't actually do any knitting while we were there, which is such an extra shame because the place that we were staying at had this beautiful big window that had the window seat, looking out over the mountains in the distance and the cows and the not so far distance, and it just would have been the most perfect, beautiful, magic place to do some knitting, but I guess I packed in too much of a rush and I didn't get to do it. But anyway, still very grateful for being able to go on a holiday on my birthday and the beautiful Australian countryside. So I guess that is it for another episode of the Platypus Knitting vlog. Thank you so much for watching, especially anyone who is tuning in after the first episode, which I felt like was a bit of a mess. Like I mentioned in that one, I am a bit shy, and I do get quite nervous sitting down to film these, so really appreciate you coming and watching me talk about knitting. So I guess, I've got to do the usual plugs, which I didn't get to do, or I forgot to do last week. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you want to get in touch with me, you can of course leave comments on the video, but I am also on Instagram at Platypus Knitting. I guess I'm so not used to doing all of this. I guess that is it. Yeah, so I do have a website for the show notes as well, so check out the link below if you want to see the show notes. Thank you so much for watching. So long and craft on.